we haven't talked too much about how generative AI is being used in the cloud specifically. How does this affect developers? How does this affect the way that people create applications, manage applications, do any kind of work in Git or any of that kind of stuff? So I wanted to bring her up here today to talk about some of the things that happen within DevOps, specifically around generative AI and specifically in the cloud. She's one of my teammates. I love her to death. Mekka Williams.
Hey,
thank you so much.
Hey, Nick.
Welcome aboard.
Good to see you. This is cute.
You like it?
I love it.
Is your hair purple or is that the light?
That's the light.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you got a hold of Phoebe and your girls were coloring hair.
I should have. That would have been awesome.
It looks good on you, actually.
Thank you. I might have to do that.
Tell me about, so you have sort of taken on a bit of a charter over the last year or so that seems to be leaning towards DevOps, cloud, and generative AI. Can you give us an idea of what you and your team are kind of focusing on right now?
Yeah. So I'm excited about the new role, actually, and we're calling ourselves Innovation and Solutions. And we are super interested in developing solutions around generative AI in the cloud to start with, right? Everything is hybrid cloud, but leveraging all of the amazing capabilities that are emerging in the hyperscaler spaces. And what we're seeing is this parallel in how DevOps emerged and how it changed the way folks approach software development, leveraging services in the cloud. We're kind of seeing that as a parallel. And then there's also this interesting user that emerges in the generative AI space, right? So you'll hear people talk about builder versus buyer and how to target and build solutions based on where customers are, where their AI maturity is, whether or not they want to buy something off the shelf and plug it into their data, or they're interested in building their own applications. So we're really focused right now on understanding customer problems and how they're leveraging these services, and more importantly, how to make it easy for them to consume NetApp storage and develop a good data management strategy, because that is maybe not that intuitive when you approach AI and generative AI, how important it is to have good data management strategy, and then adding the automation to make this really easy for them to do. These solutions are complicated, and we want them to not have to struggle with it, right?
Yeah. I look at tools like the various things like Vertex in Google Cloud, at Bedrock in AWS, OneLake, and what was the other one I'm thinking? Yeah, OneLake. I'm trying to see like where this is something I really want to get my head around too, because I don't feel like I have a firm grasp of it. What are some practical use cases where people can put GenAI to work for them using some of these builder tools or the buyer tools? But a lot of them are already kind of in place for them. And I think the trick for us is really just connecting the dots between this, helping the users that are storing the data already with us kind of make that connection between the various services that are in the cloud providers to leverage GenAI to do some of this work for them once they have it connected. I'm curious how you see that playing out in like a practical sense. Is this something that users are going to be able to do themselves? Do they need to hire professionals to do this? Is this a training issue that we run into?
So yes to everything, actually.
Okay.
so things like Amazon Q, Microsoft Copilot, those are more geared towards the buyer, right? This is a solution, this is a product and a solution where you can kind of plug your data in, connect your data in, right? The hyperscalers have storage that is readily available, and you can just start to interact with these. These are going to be your basic use cases like chat. How do I connect my data in, and I just want a chatbot that's talking to my data instead of the general purpose data available in the pre-trained LLMs that are connected to the services, right? Or Q&A, or search even, right? These are very common use cases. You can leverage the applications. Those are generative AI applications that are available and easily connect your data in. But if you want to do something more creative and innovative, or you want to, your data is distributed and it's diverse and it's not just in one cloud, or you don't want to move all your data to where the application is running, then the problem gets a little bit trickier, right? And you may have to build, just to do that, And training and skill set that's available is difficult. And that's why you see more of this enablement emerging. That's kind of our sweet spot, too. That's what we're focused on as well. So we want to democratize more of what users, customers can do themselves with their own data without requiring them to copy it out several times. You heard in the keynote, right? I think that was yesterday where they talked about how many times in a simple pipeline and workflow data was copied out, how much time that takes to continually copy out data. So this concept of bringing AI to your data, that is also part of the work that we're doing. Even if you're leveraging generative AI managed services from a cloud provider, we still want to make that easy for you. So basic chat QA search with something like a ready-made service like a Copilot or a Q. But when you get into the Vertex AI and the agent building and actually taking the responses from the generative AI transaction and chaining it together with other generative AI workflows, now you're doing cool and creative things, and that's what we're really interested in extending.
That's fantastic. So what's the state of tooling around that, I guess, is where my head goes, is because, sure, we can throw data around, we can be smart about the data itself, but when there's the middleware element to this that I always get sort of hung up in is, do companies have to go out and like sort of re-architect their middleware stack to like take advantage of some of this, or are there tools available to do this kind of stuff already?
So the cool thing is that everyone's smart and API minded now, and you'll see a lot of tools that are offering endpoints. And so you can make a lot of calls via endpoints. Jerome Roussan gave a great talk today about how NetApp Engineering, or yesterday, about how NetApp Engineering is doing what's called function calling within generative AI workflows and putting these bots together, and then they're calling each other. So they've done this cool thing where individual teams that were interested in specific generative AI functionality created their bots and then made them functionally callable. So you could just call the functions, right? You don't have to re-architect anything. This is how we do software development anyway, right? We just either call functions, or I know that the GenAI toolkit is working on making endpoints available for different functionality. So even if you don't want to use the UI front end, you have URL endpoints available to you, and then you just call them like you would call a function. So no, I don't envision folks would have to re-architect anything, but they do have to have a different mindset. They have to think about, maybe I'm not just calling a function, I'm calling a function that's not owned by me. It's out at a service somewhere, and there's generative AI behind that. But in the end, as developers, if it does what I want it to and it's safe, what do I care? Actually, reusability is the name of the game. That's our goal. So having generative AI as an option for a function call, that's cool. We're in the future.
Yeah. I think that's really the power, almost the hidden virtue that a lot of people haven't recognized of the cloud. If I look at AWS, for example, there are hundreds of tools and apps and things that it's a literal app store of anything you could possibly want to do with a data set, and manipulate it or twist it or report on it or do anything you want to with that data set, with all of those different tools. And then you tie it to things like SageMaker or Bedrock that are also native to AWS to do other things to that same data set. Same thing's true in Google Cloud, Vertex and BigQuery. Same thing's true with OneLake and Azure NetApp Files. And like, you've got all of these pieces now. I feel like we've gotten to the point now, everything's built. We need to start talking solutions. Where do you stand on, I feel like we've completed the crest, the climb. We're there. We need to start talking about how people can like put this stuff into practical use on a day-to-day basis, and that's where I start to get hung up a little bit.
So this is a never-ending battle between
solutions versus product.
Solutions versus product. This is only the 10th time this has come up at Insight. We've had so many conversations about this, and I think this is true. You know, I worked in engineering a long time, and you are very, target-based in engineering, right? You deliver, even at a more granular level, you deliver features. You deliver your part of the product, right? And so one great thing for me about making the transition to this side of the business is actually being able to see how customers use our products And you don't have that purview when you're working on features and software development so much unless you seek it out, right? And so I lean more solutions, surprise, surprise, that we sell solutions, right? Our products alone can't fill in those gaps of how our customers make use of the great technologies that we've built up and folded into our wonderful products, right? And they have to serve each other, right?
Yeah.
We have to have really good communications between the two. I don't want to miss this point, though, because when you said Vertex AI, that actually was one of my favorite things about the keynote today, that Samit mentioned in the keynote that Vertex AI is now honoring GCMV as a first-party storage resource.
A selection in the dropdown. Yeah.
My chat exploded over that. That is super exciting for us, and I'm so excited because in this space of developing solutions and building out solutions to leverage Vertex AI, this is a big deal. This is the actual bringing AI to your data, and you don't have to move it wherever it is. It's on NetApp. And we, NetApp, make it really easy to move your data within the hybrid ecosystem as long as it's using ONTAP underneath the cover. So this is huge for us. I envision, even for my team directly, that this is going to set our innovation gears into hyperdrive. I'm super excited about that announcement.
I love that, and I relate it back to, not to oversimplify it, but to an extent it's like attaching a database. You're not really moving that data. You're just giving it access to that data.
Yeah.
And that's what I see a lot when Chris was talking about data classification, building a global metadata namespace. And then we had Samit talking about how we were going to have it Vertex and BigQuery connect directly to GCNV. I know Mickey's been working on some Bedrock stuff on your team. There's all kinds of stuff that's coming. And I think that is where this really points ultimately is, cool, we've got all the tools. Now let's build some solutions like some of the stuff that Mickey's doing. If you get a chance and you're here at the show, go see Mickey's session on what they're doing with Bedrock. It's really cool. I think they've got a demo here. Do you know if they have a demo here in the booth?
We have several.
We have several demos.
We have lots of good demos
here in the booth.
Yeah.
Mekka, this has been a real pleasure. I love chatting with you. I feel like we don't get to hang out and chat enough about some of the stuff that you and your team are doing. Let's change that. Let's do this more often.
I am happy to come by. We're doing such exciting stuff, and I love the show and what you're doing, sir. I miss you, and I love what you're doing here.
Wait, hang on. Is it your birthday today?
It is my birthday today.
We're closing the show out with a birthday, folks. Happy birthday, Mekka.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. I really appreciate you stopping by, and we'll do this again soon.